Eddie, I've just grabbed you off the stand. We're here at Internet Retailing Expo. I've been wandering around, bumped into Eddie, who's one of the founders at Fresh Relevance. We had a long chat. I thought I'd grab you into the studio for a quick minute to give us an update on Fresh Relevance. Eddie, tell our viewer who you are and about Fresh Relevance.
Fantastic, thank you very much. Well, I am one of the 3 co-founders of Fresh Relevance. I'm responsible for the commercial side of the business, not only the commercial side of the business, but also making sure the product continually meets the needs of our customers. So working with development to actually stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah. So tell us about your product. Great name.
Thank you very much.
We all love relevance, we all love freshness. So when you put fresh and relevance together, what do we get? What does it do?
Personalisation has historically been really hard. And it's been hard for a number of reasons. There's lots of disjointed silos of data. There's lots of different systems that don't speak to each other. We've called ourselves Fresh Relevance because obviously the relevance comes from personalisation. The fresh approach is the way that our system's been designed to play nicely and interoperate beautifully with whatever technology somebody's got in place in their business.
Now that's really important because even though we may rail against silos, the reality is, especially in bigger, more complex business, they actually have legacies of data for very good reasons.
They do indeed.
Interoperability is a really important attribute.
That's exactly right, and the nature of things is evolutionary. What's going to happen tomorrow is going to be based on what's happening today, and so on and so forth. So it's very important to actually recognise what people, how people work and what they work on, and allow them to build on that to actually take this further in a really easy way.
So I know you guys have been doing it for a while, but a lot of the things you've been talking about are now the norm. So you can't move more than 5 paces without finding out talking about AI-powered personalization, marketing data platform, customer data platform, blah, blah, blah. What makes your approach distinctive in a field where many people are now using the same descriptions as you?
So I think what makes us distinctive, there's a number of things. So it's the depth and breadth of the capability, but also how deep we go into some of those specific areas. If you mention companies like customer data platforms or email marketing platforms, they're coming at this from their unique angle.
Yeah.
But literally, the way that we're coming at this is really a pure sort of content-led but data-driven approach to personalising a customer experience,
rather than the channel or the legacy of.
Absolutely.
What they do. Yeah. Now, what's the normal problem that retailers present with? So if you're a doctor, you'd say what's the main symptom patients come to you with, but as a vendor, solution provider, what is the solution that people are seeking most from you?
It's a very good question, and you see a lot of companies are now looking for a specific personalization platform with the challenge to create a more customer orientated personalized experience. Now that's fairly generic. However, where we really excel is solving specific challenges. Because with personalization, there are various platforms out there that are slightly one size fits all. But let me give you some examples.
Yeah.
So a particular global publishing company had a particular challenge. I couldn't possibly name Time Out.
It's not us, by the way.
Yeah, I know. They had a very specific challenge, and actually this was a combination of both creating a highly personalised experience based on what people had interacted with, where they are. There's a geo-targeted element to this, but in email, which is a major source of driving web traffic and business for Time Out, who have an e-commerce element to their business, they act someone like Groupon in that products are finite, so the content that they're displaying in the email needs to be live and available when the email is actually opened.
Yeah, exactly.
So a real specific challenge to solve there, to do with personalisation, but really speaking to the specific business challenge.
Also with real-time updates of stock information, awareness of
it's
when
a very important point. Yeah, it's certainly in retail. One of the main challenges that companies have, even looking at something like product recommendations, is new stock.
Absolutely, because you've got no history.
You've got no history.
Exactly. Yeah.
So this, the ability to actually get moving with something.
Yeah, and spin up quickly.
It's hard.
I mean, we could talk all day. We spoke a lot at the stand. Just to close off, where's the market moving? So there's nobody now that isn't talking personalization, whether they deliver it or not isn't relevant. But what are the new things that are being asked of you over and above data integration, workflow and personalization. What's
very,
next?
yeah, very interesting point. So what's next? There's definitely a coming together of a few different disciplines, and some of the obvious disciplines that are coming together are personalization with testing.
Oh, of course.
And
yes.
and you know, because the two things work hand in hand together, or that because and the reason why these two things sit together quite nicely is actually traditional methods of testing content don't work particularly well in an environment that's highly dynamic and always moving.
Unless you're investing in doing 10,000 versions of everything. And then,
yeah.
You know, that becomes defeating itself.
So that's a challenge that needs solving. But interestingly, another trend in the marketplace that we're really seeing is the trend for headless e-commerce, where the front end and the back end have been separated, and the same level of service and the same level of personalization needs to be deployed, but in a different way.
And exactly that. So it's new tools, but the capability demanded is getting more and more extreme year on year.
It's correct, yeah.
Good.
And it's very fast moving, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime soon.
Well, speaking of fast moving, that's us. So we won't take up any more time. We put the links to Fresh Relevance below, of course, so you can Google them. But meanwhile, Eddie, thanks so much for joining us in the studio to give us that insight.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you.